Hi, in this video I'm going to optimize this Shopify store for speed. I'm here on Google Page Insights and I'm going to take this site from this result to this result. And I'm going to do that by addressing some of the issues down below. If you're interested in finding out how to fix some of these issues, maybe for your store or for maybe your customer store, stick around because I have some golden nuggets for you. Okay, so first I'm going to go and run a couple of tests. This is the initial result, but I want to see what is the average result because these tests are not always the same. They vary and you want to test 3 times so that you can find out what the average speed is. I'm gonna let this speed test run and I'm gonna go and see how many apps does this store uses. So I'm going to inspect and go to the head tag of the store here. So you have the HTML and then the head tag. You're gonna open that up. And in this multitude of scripts, you will have to scroll down and somewhere at the end, you're going to find an unmarked script like this one here, where you can find the, it wasn't this one, where you can find the async function, the Shopify async function, where all the app scripts are coming from Shopify. So you want to open up this unmarked scripts from the end of the head tag and look for something looking like this, and you're going to see inside this variable here all the scripts that are coming from apps. This way I find out if there are a lot of apps installed on the store and if I will have to look for some blocking assets. So I know that this store is using some apps, and this is the case with many stores. Merchants like to test different apps and they might even let them installed even if they are not using them. So you want to steer clear of that. You want to uninstall any app that is not used on your store because their assets will get loaded every time the store loads and that will create some speed issues. So let's see what the speed of the store is, and I see that there is a redirect happening. Redirects usually slow down the store, and I'm gonna rerun this with the redirected link, but I think this is a localization issue. Yeah, English US. So whenever you are using a localization app, they might add this at the end of your store. This is the same thing, so I will not investigate this because this is not affecting the speed of the store actually. So I'm going to rerun the test with that extension at the end of the URL and see what's the result. And here's the result. So I already see that there is an issue with LCP. We have also a blocking time, of course, because of the apps, but I'm going to address the LCP first. Usually preloaders like this have an impact on LCP and also transition effects on images. If you have a fade-in effect, for example, on an image like that, that can affect LCP. So you should directly display your image as fast as possible. So I'm going to go and disable this blue screen and see if that has an impact on LCP. Let's find out where the preloaders come from. So I'm going to go to the store and try to see if I see the preloader here, and I'm gonna go and search inside the code to see if I find something named preload, and I already see that this is an app most likely. I'm gonna go and open up the app and see how that looks like, but probably I would want to just, this is the preloader app. Do they have a disable animation? I would just want to disable this preloader completely to see if that changes anything, but I'm gonna do that on the theme itself. So I'm gonna open up the store again and I'm gonna go to customize first and look here at the app embeds and see if that app is enabled here. And look, I can turn that off and see if that stops the animation. So if I refresh now the page, I don't see the animation anymore. Let me go to the theme itself and edit code and look at theme.liquid, search for preloader. There are a couple of files of that app here as well. So I'm going to comment those out, just going to select them and comment them out and save. Let's ensure the page works well. I'm not sure why the preloader was installed, but that is creating some LCP. So let me try and run again and here's the result. And now I realize that the preloader was added because the LCP was larger without it, but the result of the test is worse. So I'm going to go and look at this image and see why does this image create such a big LCP. Because if I look at this, you see, because it's a slideshow, we don't see that first image, but we have the yellow border that marks the first image. This is actually the second image, but this one is the one that creates that LCP issue. So I'm gonna go and look at this image and see why does this image create that large LCP. So in order to see a slower playback of how the page loads, I'm gonna go to my network tab. I'm gonna inspect the page and then go to the network tab, and in here you have some profiles of how the page should load. Like this one emulates a 3G connection, and this one is a custom profile that I've created that is a little bit slower than a 3G, but I named it slow 3G so that we can see the exact way the page gets loaded. So this is how things are unfolding on the page. We should see this image first, but we don't. The logo is first, which is good, but we should see next this image here. Okay, so the first image is right here. This tells me that this image is not lazy loaded, and we will have to lazy load that. And the next ones are these ones here. So the first image is actually not loaded first for some reason. So I'm gonna stop that load, and I'm gonna look at the image itself and see what's holding it back from being displayed, because the image is already on the page, it's downloaded, but it's for some reason not displayed, and that is creating the LCP. And I see that this is also lazy loaded, and that is for sure creating LCP. So you should never ever lazy load images that are directly in view. So in this case we have the logo, this hero image, and this ones here should not be lazy loaded. Let's see why does this first image not show. So looking here, I already see that it has an opacity of 0. So at this point the image is on the page, it's just not getting displayed because of some CSS or the way how this swiper works. I can see that the initial opacity of this element is 0, and I'm pretty sure that's the reason. And even though the image is not showing, I see that the image is broken. You can see the icon there. So if I go and uncheck this, that is gonna disappear, and if I go and check it again, that's gonna appear. So that's telling me that this element has an opacity of 0 for this element, and that's why the image is not getting displayed right away. I'm gonna go and add the CSS to make this show right away. In order to do that, I came here to the slideshow section because I know this is a slideshow, and I'm going to the image element, which is this one here, and I'm gonna add this inline style here. And I'm going to add it also for mobile. I have a desktop version and a mobile version of the image, and I'm going to test to see if this would do and will make my image appear faster on the page. I'm going to go back to 3G and refresh the page. Now I should see this image load faster or first. So hopefully this image will be displayed faster now. Yeah, it was displayed faster. Let's go and test again the site. Now we have 16 seconds for LCP. Let's see if there is any improvement. Okay, the result is better, but the LCP is still not very good. I'm going to run a couple of more tests to see if that changes. And again, if you are running the tests too fast, they will give you the same result. So you will just have to wait a couple of seconds before you go and analyze again. Yes, the LCP went down. This is the result now. Let's test again. Yes. We are now at 9 from 16 seconds. That is good. So it's 10 actually, but it's much better than 16. And I'm gonna go and look for more cues of what I can do to fix that. So I now see this image here, which is the cause of our LCP. And I think that we can also stop its lazy loading, because I see it has a lazy loading mechanism on it. I'm gonna go and look at the real element and see what else I can do to make it load faster. So I'm gonna go and say no throttling and inspect it. And this is my element. This is my first slide of this carousel, which I should make load faster. And as I can see here, it's lazy loaded with lazy sizes. And because this is a carousel, this is a little bit more difficult to stop from lazy loading. And I saw also that there is another carousel down below here, and it's the same element, so it's the same section on the theme. So if I stop this image from lazy loading, actually the first one, not this one, then I will stop the lazy loading for this one as well, and we don't want that. We want to stop from lazy loading just the first image of the first carousel, not the first image for all the carousels. In this case, I'm going to add a logic to the image block of this carousel and say it should stop lazy loading this image and the rest should stay as it is, because we want to stop lazy loading the first block of this carousel only. Hope this makes sense. I'm going to show you how you can do that. I'm going to go back to the slideshow section because that's what we're going to work on. So this is the image we are talking about. This is the desktop image and this is the mobile version of that image. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace this style that I just added with this logic. What that does is to check if this first image should be loaded eagerly or loaded lazily. And then I'm going to go and disable the lazy sizes, lazy loading that the image has. I'm gonna replace this with the following logic. That ensures that the lazy loaded class will only be displayed on the right images. What I want to do is to add a checkbox on the image blocks and to manually select the image that should be loaded eagerly, and then all the rest of the images should be loaded lazily. And to do that, I'm going to disable also all the other mechanisms of lazy loading from this image tag, and I'm gonna add this logic here. So I'm gonna check if this should be displayed on the first image or not, and I'm gonna close it here, and then I'm gonna do the same thing to the mobile image. After adding the same logic to the mobile image, I'm gonna go and add this setting to the image blocks. And to do that, I'm gonna go to blocks, and here I'm going to go to settings and add one setting at the top here and save that. Right now, if I go to the page and reload it, I'm gonna see that this image is still loaded lazy, and that will still cause the issue. But if I go and select this checkbox and save and refresh the page here, I'm gonna see that the first image here is loaded eager, and that will signal to the browser that this is an important image and it should be downloaded as fast as possible. If I go to my networking tab and turn on 3G and refresh the page, you're gonna see that this image is loading much faster. So we first gonna get the logo, and then we're gonna get this image where before there were other files that were loading. Yeah, here it is. Let's go and see if that has an impact on the LCP. We were at 9 seconds. Let's see if this helped. And here's the result. Now the LCP is a bit lower. We still have some stuff to do in order to make it faster, but the result you already see, it's going higher and higher. Let's see if I can spot something else in here. See that we have some off-screen images that are not deferred. These are the files in question. Let's see where those are. In order to find out where the files are, I'm gonna just search for them in the DOM. So I'm gonna go in here, inspect and search. So I see that it's a drawer, I think it's this drawer here, but I didn't see, yeah, the brands are here. So I'm going to go and find these images and add a lazy loading property to them. So I'm gonna search for menu image. Let's go to drawer, and in here we should have menu image. I'm gonna add here loading lazy, and I'm gonna go and add it here as well. See that there are two elements with menu image, I'm gonna save that and let's see if that brings some improvement. Yep, this is another result. I don't see that error message anymore, but one thing I see is that these images are quite large for what they need to be. They are very small here on the drawer, but if you open that image in a new tab, it's a huge image. So I'm gonna go and resize those a bit. Okay, so I've resized these images. Now they are around 500 pixels, which is much better. It's still too big, but I'm not gonna go lower. Maybe they are used somewhere else on the store. So I'm gonna run the test again and see what other cues I can find. I see here that we have some images that are oversized for the screen size. And I think this is a featured collection section down below here. Let's see how big these images are. So if I inspect one of them and look at the actual size of the image, these are 900 pixels with 900 pixels and they are rendered at 200. So the images should actually be much lower than this. I'm gonna look at this section and try to resize those images. Let's see what that section is actually. This one. So I'm going to go to the collection list section. Let's find that collection list. We have a featured collections section. I think this is the snippet that contains that image. To make sure if that's the case, I am going to go to the site. I'm going to inspect one of these elements and look for some classes. And if those classes are in here, that means that I am in the right place. Okay, so this is collection card title, collection featured card image. I think this is the image right here. Okay, the image is here and is lazy loaded, but it's too big for what we need. And in my experience, I found that using a picture tag with an image inside, it's better than using this image tag. So I'm going to just comment this out and I'm going to add this logic here. This is a picture tag that has multiple sources and we just need two sources. We need the desktop version, which is this one, and shouldn't be more than 500 pixels because on desktop these images here are actually smaller than 500 pixels. So I'm going to just leave them as 500 and then on mobile I'm going to make that smaller. So this source is going to be displayed on desktop and then on mobile I am going to display a 230x image, and I've added this style here because sometimes images get distorted when you use a width and a height property on them. Other than that, I just took from the original image tag, I've took the alt property and the style it had, and because I see that there is a style already on this image, I'm just gonna take my style and move it over to that one. So I'm gonna just delete this one and move the style I added here at the end of this one and check to see if the layout looks good. Yeah, it looks the same. Let's see if we get the right images. This one should be 200 pixels wide, and yes, we do. So instead of 900 pixels, now we have just a 200 pixels on mobile. And if I go to desktop version and I check these images, they should be 500 pixels. Now we have 500. Let's see on mobile, and yes, we do. So let's run the test again and see if we got rid of this error right here. And here's the result, and this is not bad. We are almost over 50. We are at 4.8 LCP, which is great. Let's see what else we can find in here. These are the more generic errors. They don't have a specific fix. They have to do a lot with apps and scripts that are installed on the store. What I'm gonna do next is to install the Shopify Speed Boost. This is a script that I wrote and you can find it on my store. What this does is to lazy load the script from your apps. If you have a lot of apps installed on your store, this will lazy load and async those scripts, and that will save you some of that blocking time that you see here. Once you're going to purchase it, you're going to get a document like this with a tutorial of what you have to do. I'm going to show you in a minute what you have to do. It's very simple. You just have to copy the script itself and go to your store, look for theme.liquid, and on theme.liquid search for content for header. You're gonna add a comment, then you're gonna end the comment here, and underneath you're gonna paste the content of the Shopify Speed Boost, and you're gonna save. Then you're gonna display your store, you're gonna refresh the page, you're gonna inspect it, and in here in the console you're gonna look for the following thing. So after you refresh the page, you're gonna go with the mouse over the page, and if you see this text here, that means that the script works. And I'm gonna refresh again and go with the mouse over, and you saw that everything started loading after I went with the mouse over the document. What this does is actually stopping the scripts from the apps from loading until the user starts interacting with your store. And that means that the store is allowed to load completely, and then the scripts from the apps are getting triggered. Let's go and run another test and see if that changes anything. And here's the result. We are close to going over 50 now. What I wanted to say is that the speed boost will async and defer all the scripts that are in here in the async load function, but Shopify allowed lately another option for apps to inject scripts on your theme, and that is inside the customized dashboard. So if you have apps that are turned on in the customized dashboard here in embed apps, if they are turned on here, the Shopify Speed Boost cannot lazy load these scripts here. So make sure that you are turning on in here only apps that you actually use. I'm not sure if these apps are used. I'm not gonna touch them, but I want you to know that if you're using the Shopify Speed Boost and you have the apps turned on in here, that cannot lazy load their scripts. So you will have to turn them off here in order for that to work. Because I want to go over 50 with the store, I'm gonna go ahead and look at theme.liquid to see if there are any assets that need to be removed or left over after using some apps in the past maybe. I'm gonna do that and hope to go over 50. If not, I will probably have to be creative. Okay, I couldn't find anything that is left behind. Everything seems to be active, and I'm not sure what all the apps are doing, so I'm not gonna touch that. I'm gonna go back to the speed test, and I'm gonna try to find some other things that were not done, like for example this image width and height property. I'm gonna go through a couple of these and hopefully I can get it over 50. So first off, I'm gonna go and add a width and a height for the logo. To do that, I came here to the header section and I found the image that gets rendered there as a logo, and I'm gonna add a width and a height, and I'm going to say section. So I'm gonna add this curly brackets section logo dot width, and then I'm gonna copy this and add here the height. And because sometimes when you add width and height, the image gets distorted, I'm gonna add an inline style property. So style equals width auto. I'm not gonna save it. I'm just gonna copy it and remove it for now. I'm gonna save and preview the site quickly. And if this gets distorted, I have to add that. And as you can see, it went really distorted. To fix that, you will just have to add this inline style. And if I save that, that issue is gone. And now if we inspect the logo, we're gonna have a width and a height property, which Google really likes, and I'm gonna try this again and see if that did the trick. Hey, so this might be luck, but we are over 50. Hopefully, I'm gonna try it again and let's see if that changes. And it seems like it stays over 50, which is great news. I think any Shopify store should be over 50 here. Of course, there are more problems to be solved. We could go deeper and deeper, but that takes a lot of more work. And this was the goal for now for this store. But as you can see, the issues that are on the page are layout issues, sometimes app issues. You just have to investigate and see which causes what. And as you can see, sometimes these issues are simple, just adding width and height. just doing some small adjustments can help you reach 50 and go over 50. Of course, we can go deeper and deeper and resolve some of these. These are most likely related to apps, and we cannot really control their scripts. We can just lazy load them, but that is more advanced. So let's go through what I've done on this store to get over 50. So initially it was somewhere around 20 something, 30%. First of all, I've turned off the preloader. There was a blue preloader that was meant to cover up some of the LCP, but that didn't actually help. Then I've removed the preloaders links that were on the theme.liquid. Then I've added the logic to lazy load or eager load the images of the first slide. After that, I've lazy loaded those Nike and Adidas images that were on the menu drawer. I've replaced the image tag with the picture tag on these images down below here, these ones. I've also added width and height to these images. One that I forgot is that I've added opacity 1 and display block to the first image of this slideshow because it was set to opacity 0 until slick slider was loading. So I've added opacity 1 so that the image is directly shown. Two things that I've done and they are not here is that I've added a width and a height property to this image here, and I've lazy loaded this image right here. So I've added a loading lazy to that image. Loading lazy. And this is how we got this store over 50. If you like this kind of content and you want to see me adjust more stores, do subscribe to the channel, like this video, and I think you would like to see that video as well.